Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Come to you live again today, Wednesday, a special pop up, 1:20 p.m. Pacific. I thought I'd come in, just got out of a green card interview and share some information there and take your questions again live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and there's one more TikTok. To see if you get any general questions about the U.S. immigration process intended as education only, not individual legal guidance. But again, we just did a marriage green card interview at a firm. We have a lot piled up. The Trump administration all of a sudden said everyone's going to do interviews, and they just emptied out cases filed in the last like 6 months. And so it's a massive amounts of green card interviews happening. So a lot of unique questions that were different than the last time around when they used to do interviews. But during the Biden administration, for the most part, they stopped doing interviews. And the biggest one that's different is like the political questions, political topics. And so we'll talk about that today. I'll wait for people to come in, but just feel free to shout out your questions and we'll get to them. Bernie he says, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much, Bernie Official. I appreciate that. And so as people coming in, feel free to shoot out your questions. But yeah, the political question was one that's unexpected. Now, every consultation session we do, we ask people, hey, are you saying anything political in the Middle East or whatever? Is there anything in your social media? We got to be prepared for that because that could be a reason for them to pause or stall or even deny your case. And then the other stuff is just a lot of questions, a lot more bona fide questions about your relationship, taking notes, a lot more about if the relationship is real or not, getting really into that, which they wouldn't in the past at that level, especially with the strength of the cases we have where we document the relationships really well. Other than that, it's a new polio vaccine, which is kind of bizarre. But last May, a year ago, they updated where people who are applying for green cards have to get a polio vaccine. And a lot of people had their doctor's interview that didn't include that. So they get a request for evidence after the interview saying, before we can approve the green card case, you got to get a polio vaccine. We don't accept the fact that the doctor say you don't need it because you got one as a child or you're too old. We don't accept that anymore. So that was kind of weird right there. And there's a lot more questioning about personal history, travel history, and the like. So these are the things that are happening. We'll talk more about the process if you like. Just shout out your questions. Dalia Shahryar, thank you for coming on the Instagram page. Simon asks, hi, my parents had a 10-year green card, but it ended now. And they have a green card abroad visiting, but they have trouble getting back to the U.S. with a 10-year bar haunt them. There's no 10-year bar for a green card holder if you overstay. So it's not a 10-year bar. Had a 10-year bar. Oh, had a 10-year bar. I saw a green card. Ended. Now they have green. Okay, so the parents had a 10-year bar, but it ended. Now they have a green card and are abroad visiting. Would they have trouble coming back in? No. If the 10-year bar ran out, then it ran out, so it doesn't matter. So Simon, I need more information about your case, see if there's anything else. But the previous. So what happens if someone is in the U.S. and they overstay in whatever form or fashion for more than a year? Once they leave, they're subject to a 10-year bar on reentry or for getting a green card unless they get a waiver. But if they're able to get a waiver or they wait out 10 years and eventually they get a green card, that's fine. But others, I doubt it will happen, Simon, but it could be other issues. For example, if they had any sort of fake documents they use at entries or any misrepresentation or fraud they did with regard to that entry or overstay, or they weren't forthcoming with some of the information there, there could be other stuff. But the green card was approved. There's a strong likelihood there won't be an issue. But we don't know. Shara says, is Islamabad embassy getting faster? Somewhat. If you check out the new Department of State website, I think they're saying it's taking like a year and a half. Can't remember. I checked it yesterday, but I can't remember. Not much. And then another issue you have to deal with when you're dealing with the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad is even after you do your visa interview, your case gets stuck in administrative processing, which means that they have to still make a decision, background checks, that take 3, 6, 9 months or even longer. So if you are processing a case in Pakistan, unfortunately, a lot of delays are happening, and that's just the name of the game over there for many, many years now. And it's one of the harder embassies to have to deal with. All right. Thank you for joining on TikTok. Feel free to shout out your questions over here. Usually we're inundated. The algorithm is sometimes not helping me out recently. Dad says, how much is the wait time for an I-601 waiver from outside the United States? Unfortunately, sometimes you get approved in 6 months, but 3 to 4 years is the average. I've seen cases taking 5 years for the 601 waiver to be approved. 601 waiver is kind of like we talked about earlier. If a person has some sort of admissibility issue related to fraud or misrepresentation and a few other stuff, they submit this 601 waiver for 3 to 10-year borrow, that kind of stuff, to forgive it. And so they could then apply for a green card and go through that process. Sherry says, can I get a visitor visa? I'm at NBC stage. My wife is pregnant in the U.S. You could try. Apply, and see if they accept it or not. LaPierre says, how long does it take to have your parents' green card approved as a U.S. citizen? Well, Timelines always vary, so it's almost impossible to give a correct answer to this question. But if they're inside the United States and the paperwork is proper, it could be 3 to 9 months on average. Could be longer. If they're going through the embassy system, it will take a year for the government to believe that your parents are really your parents. And then it depends on which embassy you deal with. If you're dealing with London, it could take 4 months. You're done. If you're dealing with Pakistan, as gentleman is talking here right now, it could be a year or two extra right there. So how fast can it be? It could be as fast as 3 months. It could be 3 years. So that's why timelines are just, you got to do it. If you want to do it, you got to just do it and let it go. Simon follows on, no, they just overstayed, but now they got their green cards. No other history to be concerned with, but with Trump is scary. I understand, but yeah, I can't give you any certainty on stuff like that. But the 10-year bar is not a problem anymore, unless there's other things involved with that the bar or just that entry that they had is problematic. Bernie follows on, hey John, I submitted my visa application since May 2011, I-130 F4, and has been approved on 2016. That's good. Can you please let us know what it could be our priority date? Well, Bernie, I don't know what kind of I-130 you have. You said F4. Okay, so if that's a sibling. Your priority date is the day you submitted the case. So if you filed it in May 2011, that's a priority date. You got to go to the U.S. Visa Bulletin. You can just type in Visa Bulletin on Google. The first link that usually pops up is in the State Department. And when you look up the F4 preference category, it'll ask you which month Visa Bulletin you want to use. You can put the latest one. For most countries, it's 2008 cases. So they started a case in 2011. There's still several years going. Now, if you're from India, Mexico, Philippines, it could be even longer. But that's the long and short of it. So it's going to be a little bit more weight. Just make sure you keep in touch. If any documents or emails are sent to you, you properly in time respond to them. If you miss important communication, it can create a lot of problems for you. Simon asks, how long does naturalization whole process take? Once you file for citizenship F-100, it could be 3 months. It could be 2 years. It's just another one of those things where timelines vary depending on the field office, your background, all this kind of stuff. Dolly asks, I was coming to see my husband. I was held in the airport and was discriminated because I'm Christian. Do you think my case can be expedited? I'm a U.S. citizen. Discriminated because you're Christian. I've never seen that happen before. Okay. Sorry that happened. Can it be expedited? You can always make a request for expedite. Which airport are you talking about? It's like the foreign airport or the U.S. airport? But you can always make an expedite request. I just have one I did with U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. They denied it for a really heartwarming case. Like USCIS approved the expedite, but the embassy wouldn't. So you can give it a shot. That's all you got. Yeah, I'm going to ask, how long does it take to approve for I-485 as a K2 category? 3 months, 2 years. Bernie follows up, can we do anything to just speed up the process, or how much estimated time could be taken for working on 2008 cases? The timelines can be estimated because sometimes the chart doesn't move for a year. So it could be, 3 years, could be more likely 8-10 years probably. So it can be sped up. The visa bulletin can't be sped up. Jessica asks, how long does it take after visa is issued to pick up passport? Well, if the visa is issued, that's ready to pick up the passport. But sometimes recently it's been taking longer. I had one case in, I don't want to say that, some North African country. It took like 4 weeks afterwards. I had one in Turkey, several of them actually. It took 4 weeks to issue it. So usually it's like a week, but it could be longer. Neptune says the U.S. Embassy in Dhaka has extensive backlogs. I recently got my I-130 approved, priority date 2024. And I'm scared to death of having to wait another 1.5 years just to be called for an interview. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. Go and check out the Department of State website. Let me see. I go check DOS IV wait times. IV scheduling status tool. That's the name of the web page for the Department of State. And could you let me know what kind of case you had there too, so I could check it out? But let's say it was a marriage green card case in Dhaka. It's saying marriage green card case, usually the fastest. They're scheduling interviews, not the interview itself, but the scheduling notice. Usually it's like a month or 2 after scheduling notice, the interview happens. They're scheduling those from May 2024. So it's a year delay right there. That's unfortunately pretty common in a lot of countries in the world. That's just unfortunately the way it is right now. I should keep these windows open so good question. Ask me questions I can quickly answer. 5 years of doing this, I'm like now I realize, I should keep these visa bulletin and the scheduling tools open, just quick answers. That's okay. Let's go. Yaznan says, studying overseas as a green card holder, come back to US every 4 months in the breaks, get a reentry permit, make things easier for yourself. Just apply for reentry permit next time you're in the US. Mani says, I'm planning on adopting my niece and nephew from Pakistan. Need help with that? We don't do adoption-based immigration. It's very complicated, and I don't think Pakistan is a party to that international convention on it, so it's even more complicated. But you reach out to an attorney that has experience doing adoption cases. It's very complicated. Munib says, hi to you too. Emily asks, can you help 221G stuck in 4 months? You know, not really, but it's hard to do anything about 221G. I have a colleague. Let me see, what's her name is. I forget people's names when I have to think about it. ZF. Okay, it's ZF visas. ZF. The website is Z as in zebra, F as in Frank Visa.com. It's the husband and wife team, Mandy Fearbacker and Travis Fearbacker. They used to be consular officers, and they do consultations on people who are stuck in 221G. Honestly, it's really hard to do something, but sometimes something will pop up. They'll know somebody or something like to help. You got to pay a consultation fee and talk, but if you want to see, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. The website is zfvisa.com. Just let them know John sent you, so they know I'm helping out. But I can have consult with you, but they're former consular officers. If you have 221G, probably better talk with them first, then talk with me. Law says, can an international student that has a pending I-485 cancel a student visa and remain legally in the state? Yes, technically, we've been doing that all the time, but it's preferred that you maintain your underlying F1 student visa status. Under this administration, once you fall out, they can pick you up. So we like to have underlying status, even though historically they wouldn't do that. But if you just can't continue going to school, once your I-485 is filed, you can stay here. Just don't do any violations or something like that. Bernie says, in my case, my sister has submitted the application as a sponsor from America. I'm from Pakistan, but if I change my region to Saudi Arabia, are there any chances to speed up my case? Let me see. Riyadh there's a sister case, family sponsored DACA. So DACA for family sponsored cases is even worse. It's January 2021. It's 4 years of scheduling. That's crazy. I'm not sure if that's accurate information. That's kind of nuts. So you have a family sponsored case. They're going to give you 4 years of waiting, maybe more, 4.5 years to get an interview. So yeah, I would probably want to change it. Riyadh, I think, is where it happens for Saudi Arabia. For a family, yeah, change to Riyadh. Riyadh is May 2025. They have no wait, essentially. So yeah, if you could pull it off, go to Riyadh based on the little information I have, I would say. But that may be something you should look into. I can't guide you. I'm not your lawyer. But for a family sponsorship based on the travelstate.gov, DACA says that they're scheduling people from 2021 that are family preference cases like yours. Riyadh is saying May 2025. Yes, it's a big difference. So it's something worth looking into if your case is current. Yazan says, my family lives there and I will live with them after I finish. Yeah, just get a range permit though. Emily says, how long does it take to approve 221G after we send all documents? They stuck 4 months. There's no timelines with the government. Aloha says, guys, if you want a lawyer, this is where to go. I appreciate that. Oh, hi, Lisa. Many thanks. My wife lagged. I didn't get the answer from you. My Wi-Fi lagged. I said, get a re-entry permit. Alicia, thanks so much for the kind words. It's just the re-entry permit says if you're going to have frequent absences outside the United States, you're telling the government ahead of time, and you submit this request form I-131 for a re-entry permit, and ahead of time telling you're not going to be here. So it kind of smooths it out from potentially having your green card taken away. You're still going to have citizenship issues and delays because of the absences, but that's neither here nor there in your situation. And so that's that. So we have someone going to always bad news from you. Never seen positive info, and don't watch. It's not me. I'm just telling the news. Don't kill the messenger. Let's see. Ban user. Hell, people say ignorant stuff. They say ignorant stuff. Okay. Simon says my parents overstayed visa, but waited 10 years, got the green card. If they overstayed their visitor visa and they didn't travel out, so I got to talk with you. I know it's scary and stuff. You're probably okay, but this is too much. If I talk too much one-on-one with you, it looks like I'm giving you individual legal guidance. You just got to sit and talk in private with your parents. Deb says, thanks to you for the answer. We applied for IR1, CR1 visa. Is there any way to expedite our interview at the U.S. Embassy in DACA right after getting DQ'd? For IR1, when is the right time? How do you proceed? You could request an expedite. Whether you're going to prove it, I'm not optimistic, but you can always request these things. That's about it. But DACA is about a year delay. Bray says, no, not the DACA. When I submitted the application to the one, you completely mixed up too. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's so many comments going on and stuff like that. But for whoever it was, I think it might have been Neptune. If you guys switch to Saudi, it might be better. I'm sorry, mixing stuff up. Saudi in general is going to be faster anyway. So if you could go to Saudi, KSA, King of Saudi, KSA, that's probably faster. Silent here says, NBC processing time, please. There's no fixed times. Go to the Department of State's website, IV scheduling status tool, and check your embassy. Yeah, it's never spent more than 6 months. So I need to reenter. I've been doing this since 2001. I mean, you're probably okay, but the administration has changed and more strict. If you want to be safe, then do it. And if you don't, you're probably okay. But I just can't give guarantees any kind. It's safer to have one. Just if you file for reentry permit, you have to physically be in the U.S. when you file, and you may have a visa appointment. I'm sorry, an interview. What's it called? Fingerprint appointment afterwards. Yalda says, is it possible to hold H-1B visa if I apply through the consulate and schedule the interview for next year? Yeah, I don't think it goes away. Yeah, as long as the job is still there. Yalda, can I apply for EB-1 too if the H-1B visa application process? Yeah, H-1B is dual intent. That's possible. Let's see. NA says, I have 2 kids with US passports, but no N600. Should I apply? Yeah, I would. I've seen too many problems when people don't get the certificate of citizenship. Just make sure they have a proper case. I'd have to review it because you might file for the N600 and they may deny and take the passports away. So you're probably okay, but I would want to like see exactly how your children obtain their US citizenship to make sure it's good. Okay, you don't have to ask the question 80 times. Okay. Alex says, who do contact if a family member was taken by ICE, said family member has papers here? You got to contact the immigration attorney. Is the best thing to do. I don't handle ICE issues, so there's immigration lawyers that deal with court and detention and stuff like that. Search for Google for people and reviews for people that do detain cases where they're being detained and when the court hearing will be. NBC processing times after I-129 approved. I-129 doesn't really, embassy processing times depends on the embassy, and just check out, go to the DOS website. Leo says, I-485 interview on Friday. Yesterday, cases transferred different location. Is that an issue? Not necessarily. I've never seen that before happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't know. I've never seen that happen before. Yazan says, can I travel out the fingerprinting appointment? So if you file for reentry and to physically be in the United States, you might have to do a fingerprinting appointment. I've read the regulation, the statute many times about this issue. It doesn't specifically say that you could leave or you have to stay. In practice, the last 15 years, I've told my clients, the clients have traveled after filing for doing their fingerprints, and they've been okay. So I'm sticking with that. But, the government could just change things on a whim. Unfortunately, immigration is very politically charged, and the government has a lot of power. The president, they can just change things on a whim. But normally it's been okay the last 15 years that I know of. Gamu says, hi, I went for a married interview in New Jersey. Now it's been 84 days, still nothing. What can I do? Contact an immigration attorney. Go over exactly what happened that day, your forms, applications, paperwork, to try to spot if there are issues. If none, I usually just write a letter to the officer, say, hey, is there a particular reason it's delayed? Is there anything we can do to help it? That may push things forward. But so it could be any matter of things. Lillian, one of the regulars with Sia, asked John, I have my green card marriage interview in a month in Greece, and it's so stressful. We've been waiting for 2 years, and we love each other so much. Anything that should be considerate of. Have updated police certificates. Make sure your medical checkup is done properly. Updated affidavit support documents, tax returns, W-2s, 1099s, page stubs, all that kind of stuff. Make sure your passport is updated. Birth certificate has translations. Marriage certificate is probably translated. If they're divorces, have the divorce records. Those are the main stuff. And review your Form DS-260 for any updates. Let the officer know things have changed. If for example, the mailing address for your green card has changed, you don't want the green card to be sent to the wrong place. So check that out. Make sure that's correct. Just update it. And just be prepared to talk about your relationship. And good luck. Keep us posted on how it goes. Yaz says, how long does it take? 3 months to 2 years. Ripsang says, can I reapply for the green card on family preference after I deported back to my home country? Since you have a deportation order, you got to potentially you might need waivers. You might have certain timeline bans and stuff. That's something you got to schedule a private consultation to go over. Ari says, how long does M4 usually take once you apply? 3 months to a year and a half average. It's just so different for every field office, for every case. The ranges are so wide that I'd say 3 months to 2 years. It's really, I've seen both. Hayati says, can I work off campus with TPS EAD on an F1? With the TPS EAD, you can work wherever you want. But once you do, in my opinion, the regulations are in a gray area on this. But I just go on the conservative side is if you use your TPS EAD or just TPS travel or any of that, you invalidate your F1. If you can, I'd want to maintain my F1 because the president might just come in, cancel TPS for your country, and then you're out of status. So maintaining the F1 is really important. I understand if you got to work, potentially if you need to work as a financial situation, there's special permissions you can get to be able to work off campus on F1. You could request those as well to try to maintain your F1 student's visa status. You're welcome, Liliana. Hopefully, God bless, you get some good news on your immigrant visa interview. Neptune says, I'm feeling mentally exhausted from all the waiting. The U.S. Embassy in Dhaka should prioritize spouse of U.S. citizens, prolonged delay, create a lot of stress in marriage life. Yeah, it's unfortunately the case. A lot of the countries in the world are dealing with this. Iran, Pakistan, somewhat India, China. A lot of countries have these massive delays in getting the interview. Many of them more than 1 year. So that's unfortunately the case. Dre says, hello, question. What are the best visa to stay in the U.S. right now besides the green card? Thanks so much. Well, it really depends on your background. The best visa, I don't know, H-1B. If you get H-1B employer, you win the lottery. But, then most people are not going to get that. So there's no best or worst. It really is just whatever works for you. It's like kind of like, it's like, who's the best wife to have? Well, everyone's got different personalities. Some people might like a wife with this personality. Some people like this personality. So it really is best for the person. 243 said, applied for adjustment status in the I-130 over a year ago. Just getting my work permit approved. Well, that's good. Usually takes a while, but yeah, it's fine. I wish the best. Pat Patel Romy says, hello, John. I have filed F3. I have F3 filed married daughter and mom. I have qualified documents April. I'm living in London, so please I don't know when my interview. Please let me know. Thanks so much. I don't know how long your interview is going to take. I don't know your priority dates. I don't know when your documents are qualified. If you say April, if you go to the IV scheduling status tool page for London for family preference category, and then these numbers could be completely wrong. But it's saying they're scheduling people who were documentally qualified in March 2025. Usually when they schedule, it's like 2 months after that. So if you're documentary qualified in April, probably next month, you'll get a notice saying for 2 months from now, come to the interview. But that could be wrong too. I can't give any guarantees, but that's what they're saying right now, at least. They say a lot of things though, but most likely this could be true. Ohan says, can you help with a response to RFE I-130? If we have enough time to respond, if you come to me with less than a month, I don't have time to do it. I'm just too many stuff going on. But if you have like 2 or 3 months to do it, and you have a real case, your real marriage and documentation, yeah, we could help. But if it's like a fake marriage, don't want to accuse you, but I've had people come to me and say, hey, I have a fake marriage. We'll do this response to RFE. I'm like, I can't help you. Or they come when there's a week. Yesterday, someone come. They have 5 days left to respond to a really complicated marriage fraud accusation. And I'm like, 5 days. I'm like, I have interviews with USCIS every day. It takes half my day. I come back, I got to answer phone calls. I got to do this, got to do market hours. I just don't have the time to do it, unfortunately. But if you got the standards and you have time, then schedule a consultation in my office. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the box. We'll schedule an initial consult, see what's going on, and decide where you take it from there. You're welcome, Patel Rumi. Hopefully that information helped. Again, everyone who's watching it, there's new thing that the Department of State just triggered, the IV scheduling status tool. IV stands for immigrant visa. For those who are documentarily qualified, waiting for an immigrant visa appointment at the embassy, a green card interview at the embassy, they have this new website just launched this month, like 3 weeks ago. It's pretty crazy. So you put, if you're an immediate relative case, family preference, or employment base, you select the city that your consulate in the embassy is going to be in, and then it pops out if based on what groups of people they're scheduling for an interview based on the documentary qualified, the DQ date. Now, when they schedule an interview, it's different from when the interview is. The interview could be 1 to 3 months out, but this is really helpful too. It answers the biggest questions that we get of how long the embassy is going to take. So definitely check that out. Okay, Dre says, can you apply to H-1B but non-lottery? Yeah, if it's an H-1B for a nonprofit or for a research institute or like a university, there's no lottery system. There's no cap for that one. They call it H-1B cap. 29 Super C, good to see you. Hi, Attorney John. I hope you're doing well. Saying hi and thanks for everything and your help with my green card application review. God bless. Thank you so much, 29 Super C. How's life in the U.S.? How you're adjusting and all that? I know it was like a big upheaval, how long it took and everything that happened since then. 29 Super C, following the show for many years. Good to see your name. It's good to have a loyal audience. It's kind of crazy to have a show talk about immigration every week and you have an audience that comes back. Thanks so much. Ripsang says, would you please repeat yourself? I didn't get that. Thank you. Ripsang, I don't remember what the question was. So I ask people not to do that question over and over again, but I'll make an exception for you. I have no recollection of what the question was. So please post it again and I'll try to get to it. Dene says, how long to get a green card in the mail after your interview? If the interview is approved and you get an approval at a USCIS interview, once you get a notification online that it's been approved, usually it takes 2 weeks, but sometimes it takes much longer. Yami says, how long does the decision take for? I already answered that question. I don't have an answer for that. These how long questions are very hard to answer, so it's not even. There's a good chance I'm gonna be wrong whatever I say, so I don't really want to go on record saying bad information. Say, oh, this guy said bad information. Because timelines vary so much. It's hard to do that. So, we got a couple more minutes left on the show. This pop-up session. If you aren't a regular watcher, follow us. Usually Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. We have a show every week on Tuesday. You can catch us there. I'm going to be at the ALA conference on Tuesday. Is it Wednesday? And I'm trying to think next Wednesday. I'm doing it next month. But this is a pop-up what we do. So if you follow us on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, LinkedIn, you'll be able to get notifications when we come on live for our Tuesday case or any pop-ups that come up, or you just have an extra half hour to jump in and do a live. You should definitely follow just do that. So you can ask your questions, and if needed, do a schedule consultation. If you do want to schedule a consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. That's jqqlaw.com/contact. Hide current comments. I I didn't realize on the comment page I've been having this guy's comment just blasted. Always bad news. Okay, so let's see. We have some questions. 20, it has its challenges, but thankful for the job I have, which helped me pay the bills. Well, God bless you, 20 Super C. I wish you the best. Saina says, good evening. How long does it take to get a work permit after your fingerprints? There's no connection between the fingerprints and getting the work permit. It could be a month. It could be 10 months. Neptune calls up, is there any way to expedite an interview by explaining the delays are causing mental hardships? You could explain it. I've never seen it work, but you could be the first. I mean, it won't cost you any money. Go give it a shot. But like, because everyone is in the same situation. I get these messages every day and people ask every day and they deny them every day. So I'm not optimistic. I wouldn't take money from you to do this work because I would say, because I'm not optimistic, I don't want to take money from you and just work that I don't think is going to be successful. But if you want to try it on your own, go ahead and contact the National Center, the embassy, and see what they have to say. My phone's going to run out of battery very soon for our TikTok page. So we got 5 minutes. I think I'll hold over 5 minutes, but get your questions in. We got to go before the phone battery runs out. Let's see. Next question. Dre said, do I need to look for a company to petition for applying H-1B? Yes. They just changed it under Biden. It's probably going to change back where if you own the company that's petitioning for you, you could still petition for yourself. But it's complicated. So if easier ways to find an employer wants to do it, yeah, I'll leave it as that. I mean, if someone's asking me how to get H-1B, if I'm an employer, low chances that you're going to get it. But usually it's people who have a degree and they've already filled in themselves on what you have to do. So that question, if you're asking that, is probably look for other visa categories would be better. Navi says, it's almost 2 years since I applied for my wife. I am a green card holder. In the case still waiting USCIS approval. Is that normal? Yes, Navi. So LPRs, green card holders, file F2A preference category. Green card holder filing for their spouse in the F2A category. The I-130 is taking average 3 years to be approved right now. And the priority date is really backed up. Right now, they're approving cases that were submitted in January 2022, unless you're in India where it's 2021. So the priority date is like, 3.5 years back. So if you've just been pending 2 years, that's in the grand scheme of things for this category, it's not that long, unfortunately. Now, if you become a citizen, you can ask them to speed up the case. They don't always do it. They kind of forget. But that's the situation right now with that. Moose asks, how long does I-130 U.S. citizen parents take these days? Probably about a year, more or less. But it could vary a lot. Okay. Well, thank you so much for everyone coming on. I think we're going to call it a day. Really good show today. A lot of good questions. This time of day actually works good. A lot of smooth questions. Hope I didn't talk too fast and get over it. But if y'all are interested in a marriage or a fiance case, download our Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, 50 plus pages with charts and videos explaining each section of the marriage green card process. And do that before you hire an attorney. So you know what's going on. You can see if the attorney knows what they're talking about because you studied it all. It's some you got to read a lot, but and then I made it easy to read. It's like big font and everything. So definitely download. Just go to the website. It's free. marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Even if you're not doing a marriage-based case, download it to see what kind of stuff we provide for free to people. And a lot of this stuff overlaps with other kinds of cases. So if you're doing a family-based case, an employment-based case, chunks of that case are the same. And so you have a better understanding of what's going on there and planning for your future. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. If you want to schedule a private consultation, fees do apply, but go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact. Fill in the box with your name and contact info and a little bit about your case so we know what's going on. We don't do cases like immigration court, people with criminal history, asylum. We focus on married couples or people getting married, citizenship, people that are doing small-time investments, E2 visas, transferring their employees over L1 visas, and talent-based visas, national interest waiver, EB-1A, extraordinary ability, the best actor, scientist, all this kind of stuff. That's what we focus on in our office. We'd love to help you with it. Again, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for watching so much. Please follow and like so you get notifications because we'll be doing a lot more of these videos just like this in the coming months, and we want to really help you out with that. Until next one, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.